Welcome to Office Hours with Arrow, a LinkedIn Live event hosted by Arrow leaders who care about what senior living looks like. I'm your host and producer, Rachel Sheehan, and today I'm so excited to talk memory care with this amazing group of guests. And we even have a surprise guest with us. You guys didn't see this coming, Kayla Barlow. So first, I'm going to have each of you introduce yourself. Kayla, you have been with us before, but the rest have not. So Kayla, you want to give a brief introduction?
Yes, I'm Kayla Barlow, Vice President of Resident Experience. And what better way to experience memory care than being resident experience? So you guys have heard from me, but memory care has always been a core piece of my heart. I got to open a memory care 13 years ago, 12 years ago. So it was before pretty much all that we were going to talk about today. So that's me.
That's one of my favorite fun facts, Kayla, is I tell memory care directors, back when I started, we didn't have memory care directors.
We didn't have directors.
So this is so fun to just see how far we've grown. So awesome. Thank you. Bree, how about you?
Hey guys, I am Bree Rogers. I was previously in a community in the Blue Springs area, and now I get the opportunity to be the regional memory care coordinator, where I get to mentor and support all of the directors in the Kansas City area.
I love it. Very cool. Quintin?
Hi, my name is Quintin Schneider. I'm a memory care director in the Olathe area, making my residence experience amazing.
And how long have you been with us?
I have been with Arrow since September of last year, so we're coming up on a year. I'm in a new build property, so we're all about making sure that we're setting the groundwork and building the blocks for what the amazing this building can be.
I love it. I love it. And Neiko, how about you?
Hello, my name is Neiko Hughes-Taylor. I am the Memory Care Director for Vitalia North Railton, and I've been with Vitalia for a year and a half. The 14th of this month will be a year and a half, and I am just enjoying every step.
I love it. And I do have to pay attention. Quintin and I match. Bree's very jealous.
I'm very jealous.
But I have, Quintin, actually, will you tell everyone why we have this purple swag on?
Absolutely. So not only does it have our wonderful neighborhood logo on it, and rather than saying memory care on the front, yes. And then also the color in general. Imagine being in a situation where you're disoriented or you're confused and having somebody dressed in all black approach you to provide cares or for engagement. This is not only a calming and relaxing color, but it also provides a lot of contrast in our day-to-day outfits for our care staff to provide care for our residents in memory care.
Yeah, and it's very new that these are getting rolled out, different items of clothing. And I know Kayla's behind that as well, getting that going. So very fun. That's why Bree is jealous over here.
I am very jealous, but I will say that when I was in my community and we rolled out the purple, we could see a difference in residents' way of just kind of approaching us too. I think it makes us more inviting. I mean, come on, purple, it's my favorite color, but it does say something other than what is that black figure, because we all know that with dementia, their eyesight may be a little hindered. So the purple really does stand out.
Yeah, I love that. And don't worry, Bree, one is going to get sent to you. I already made sure of it. So I love it. Very cool. And that just goes into what we're about to talk about here, is that everything in memory care is so well thought out to serve our residents best. So anyway, I just wanted to bring light to that. But that's what we're talking about today, is the neighborhood and kind of our 5 pillars of our neighborhood program. But I want to first take it all the way back. So as I said, Kayla, long running history with us, with Arrow, been here longer than all of us combined over here. So back when we didn't have memory care and all that. So we've come so far, and I want you to just explain, what is the neighborhood concept? Where did that come from? When did we start this? All of that.
Yes. So it actually, our whole concept is a fairly new concept within the last 5 or 6 years. And we just continue to build on it. But when, how it kind of all started is we had memory cares, but we didn't necessarily have a specific program that we had. And it was just even when we were talking about memory care, we didn't want to call it just memory care, and we just continued to start referencing it as like the neighborhood, and that kind of like that was like that stuck. And then we were like, oh my gosh, Mr. Rogers neighborhood. Like that's the vibe and the feel that we want everyone kind of coming into our memory care. We'll accept you exactly how you are. We want to love on you just exactly how you are. And that was kind of like the first initial like Mr. Rogers neighborhood. We want to model that, and just everything about that. But it kind of all started like even, and we're still, like I said, we are still trying to perfect the perfect neighborhood and the perfect experience in the neighborhood. But like I remember like taking different things, like I'm like, okay, they have to have a plan, like, and like they were working off like the events calendar, and I'm like, okay, we need something more. And so we need something more. We need like a daily routine, and we'll talk probably a little bit about that, the daily routine as well. And so even on the weekends, like I think so much of the time, so many communities just like, okay, Monday through Friday, we got it. Like our memory care directors are there. And that even the memory care concept, it was just like, we need somebody that's like the mama bear of the community. Like we need somebody to really take ownership of it, because like in all the other departments, there was a lead, and there was not a lead in memory care, but we wanted this person that was just like, okay, they can kind of be overall everything. So engagement, overall care, the dining experience, and that kind of leads into our family style dining as well. And so that's kind of how the memory care director were like, we need somebody to be that person. So but I also remember just like taking like engagement boxes, and mind you, like when I first started, like there was no, like, I didn't have any kind of experience like with memory care, but I knew that they needed something. And so like we would start taking like engagement boxes over. And I remember like first like showing somebody how to use like an engagement box. That was before we even really had like actually built out our life stations that we have now, and like being able to like go in and just literally do like a pop-up event from like our life stations that are already in our buildings, and being able to use them, not just like, you know, sitting down at the vanity station, but like pull the brush off and like start talking about the brush, and then like the old blow dryer, and like talking through, oh my gosh, we burnt our hands on the blow dryer because it got so hot. And it's just like they can remember those types of things, and being able just to build out an entire program just based on kind of experiences that we've had, and just building our neighborhood. I know I'm kind of like, I have like so many like fun little off stories, but the origin story was like, we needed something. We continued to struggle with like trying to find like a neighborhood concept. And then it's just like Mr. Rogers neighborhood, go with it, run with it. So yeah, that's kind of the origin.
I love that. And I remember I was resident services when this started rolling out in all our communities, and we had a meeting where it was so exciting. I just remember we got this like big box with all these like materials in it to explain the neighborhood, and it was just beautiful. And to see that now more in action is really cool. So very well done. I love it. And today, so we're going to describe kind of those 5 key elements. And I know Kayla mentioned some of them, but just to kind of lay it out, that's family style dining, daily routine, family engagement assessments, and continued education. So with that, I kind of want to jump into explaining these, and we're going to start with the family style dining. So Bree, do you mind just explaining what that concept is?
Absolutely. I love the fact that we have the opportunity to be a little different. So in our memory care neighborhoods, we don't utilize menus in the sense that like they have to order for themselves. We serve them. Sometimes they help us, just like we would our families. So we have our platters, we have our serving bowls, and we're going to them and giving them options, so that way they still have the choice to eat what they want, but minimizing the confusion or anxiety that may come with the menu, because sometimes they're not able to articulate, let me go through a whole menu and figure out what I want to eat. It also provides an opportunity for them to have a purposeful role. We have residents that are helping set the tables, serve the food, sometimes clean up after dinner. And then also being social. Sometimes, it's hard to make friends, but if you're sitting at a table, you're eating some delicious ice cream, you start talking about how good the chocolate ice cream is, the person next to you is going to be like, I love chocolate. And it's just like a trickle effect. So you see the togetherness, just like you would your family. And it also helps with kind of the clinical aspect also. So if maybe somebody can't remember the hand to mouth, if they're able to see their neighbor, they can mirror them. And so it helps with that aspect also. So we just do things a little different when it comes to family style dining.
Yeah. And if you think too, like if it truly is the neighborhood, it's like how they, how they are used to sitting down with their family. Like that's the concept, like where we pulled that from. Like we wanted to feel like a family dinner, a family gathering. Pass me the potatoes. I need more green beans. Like giving that like type of vibe of just like a family. It truly is a family style. Like
and even some people, they will say a prayer because they grew up saying prayer before meals. And so that's what we do. If that's what our residents, need and want, that's what we offer them, because it is also a way for them to reminisce, but then it's something that's familiar to them. And that kind of equates comfort if they're able to kind of remember the setting. So,
Yeah.
I know. Go ahead. Sorry, Kayla.
I was gonna say, Bree, you mentioned like sometimes they wipe off tables and things like that. If they want to, a lot of times, like if they, were the
homemaker.
Yes, the homemaker in the family. Thank you. That's what they're used to. And it gives them that sense of purpose of like, I'm needed here. I'm not going to be wandering everywhere else. I'm not going to be trying to get out because I have a purpose here. I have to help serve. I have to help clean up. And it just gives them something to do. And it's something that gives them that I belong here feeling. So
some of them take it very serious too. It's that person did not get a drink. I need to go get some drink. Like they feel it. Like they know that they used to give their families, their kids, their loved ones drinks. So they are on those drinks. They're making sure of, hey, that person didn't get this, that you need to get this person. And so they'll help with serving also.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Kayla. So don't even worry. I was going to ask about that. So perfect. I love it. Yeah. And so that's just one part of our day. And so going into switching gears a little bit to our daily routine, can you kind of explain, Quintin, I'm going to ask you actually, could you explain what the daily routine is?
Yeah, having a daily routine in a memory care neighborhood is extremely vital. It helps our residents maintain a sense of agency and independence throughout their day. So in our neighborhood, we're starting about 9:30 after breakfast and everybody's done. We'll read the Daily Chronicle. We call it the Crestone Kickoff to pay a little play on our community name. And then we'll do exercise twice a day. We do it right after the kickoff and then again at 4 o'clock. After that, we'll usually do something that's art or creative led. And then we build in things like our mealtime, our hydration breaks. For our residents, even our most advanced residents, they can still become accustomed to this routine and know, hey, I don't know why I need to go to the living room right now, but I feel it in me that I need to go. I'm going to gather with my friends here. We're going to get together and read the paper. And it's so helpful for them to feel like they're independent and they have control.
Yeah. Neiko, do you have anything you want to add about your neighborhood and what a typical day looks like?
So a lot of what we do as a daily routine is a lot like Quintin's neighborhood. It also, we kind of vibe off of each other. And, so we may have one thing set that we're going to do. One thing that's vital for them is exercise. So nobody interrupts that. 11 o'clock, we're exercising. After that, it's like, what's the vibe of the room? We always have something planned, but if a resident starts a conversation, we're going to go with that conversation because they're enjoying each other. They're enjoying each other's company and, they're helping each other through things. They're very patient with each other. That's also a really good time for them to actually get to know each other, be accepting of each other. They're respecting each other. And it's an amazing time, when they're able to do things together in that daily routine, and there's security in that. There is, they understand that this is my day today. This is what we're going to do. And and with them all doing it together, again, that's security, especially for when somebody is new. And, so for our helpers, we mentioned that during family style dining, they're leading by example. They are, this is what I have to do. This is what this is very important. And, and the new people, they're like, this is not so difficult for me because everybody's doing it. We're all doing it and it's okay. So really love the daily routine.
Yeah, and I love how you describe that, you and Quintin, how you were saying there's a daily routine, but it still doesn't mean we do the exact same thing every day. It's just a structure. There could be a different craft or event that we're doing, and then also going with the flow. Sometimes you have to, enter their world and just go with it. So I love that. Kayla?
Thank you. You saw me come off mute. I do like it creates structure for the residents, but it also creates like structure and like for our staff as well. Like it knows kind of the next direction, like, because I know the support partners are literally in and out so many different times, and they can just quickly, okay, it's 10 o'clock. This is the direction that we need to start going into. And so then it's starting to like either, wind them up or wind them down. And so it's helpful, I think, to build structure with our staff too.
For sure. Yeah, Bree?
I was just going to say, with that being said, when we don't have the structure, that's kind of when you see more of the confusion and maybe some of the behaviors because they're not sure what to do. So that's why we do utilize that neighborhood flow, because they become so accustomed to it. And then if we don't kind of adhere to that routine, they're confused. They're like, what am I doing? So it also provides purpose for them also.
Yeah. And we did just get a question that goes into our next topic, is what roles do families play in the neighborhood? So if you guys don't mind sharing, how are your families involved? What's the level of involvement with our families?
I have quite a few families that love to come in and not only volunteer for these activities, but bring some of that structure when they kind of determine when their visits are going to be. It helps the family understand, hey, I can come and be a part of an activity, any activity that they feel like they want to lead or be a part of for our residents. And then our residents get used to having that person there. That person becomes a member of the family, kind of like we talked about earlier with the neighborhood concept. It becomes somebody not only that our staff is used to seeing and comfortable with, but it also helps the residents feel a little more sense of connection with maybe a loved one or even somebody who's a distant family member. I have a resident here who her daughter and another one of my residents worked together for a very long time. So when we do art, when we're doing different kind of art, it feels like work for them because this person will come and help out to volunteer, but also they will sit and talk and kind of reminisce about the time they had when they would do paperwork at their job.
I love that. Neiko, you were going to say something as well?
I like to say that family involvement it provides like a sense of inclusion. I want the families, I let them know during even the tours when they get started, that it is our expectation that you be part of the neighborhood, that you be part of the programming, that you be part of everything that we have going on here, because that's going to help them to settle. That's going to help them, this is home for them. It's a second home for you. And so, until we get them to that level of comfort, we need you to be very active in the community. We need you to be here and, to help walk them through some things until they're familiar with and comfortable with their neighbors who are right here. And the families are really, really good when it comes to family night, of course, which they absolutely love. But, just being that encouraging factor, letting the families know how important they are, to what's going to happen, to the next steps going forward. This is a new journey, not just for the resident, but for the family, for the staff. We're all in this together. And so including them from the beginning it's an amazing way to see growth in everybody who's involved.
Can you briefly explain what family night is for those listening?
So for me, family night is a night of fun. We invite the families to the neighborhood, and we have dinner, we play games, and I'm available if we all want to talk, but mainly it's a time for the residents to to show off, I'll say, because some of them do. They love to, to say, hey, this is my daughter. She's a nurse practitioner. This is my son. He's from, and they are really, really enjoying that their children are here. And it's like you feel that sense of support, that sense of love, that sense of togetherness, which is what the neighborhood is supposed to be, and so but family night itself is us inviting the families in to just enjoy a night in the neighborhood with us. And sometimes we may even have to just go with the flow with that. If it ends up in conversation, maybe it'll end up in a movie. Maybe it ends up in just, us playing games for the rest of the night, sitting around laughing and talking. We do that as well. So, but family night is a fun time for everybody.
I love it. We do have Kayla, go ahead.
I was just gonna final thought on the family engagement. I think sometimes where I remember sometimes my family members didn't know how to even communicate with their loved one anymore. They're like, I want to be a part, but I don't know how to even talk to them because they think one, maybe don't even think that I'm their son anymore, or two, I cannot carry on a conversation with them. And so if our staff members can model that and they continue to see that in a family, what an experience that they can also have with their loved one, because they are still in there. It's just, we may have to communicate with them differently and be okay with communicating with them differently as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. The question we got was about the term expressions. Who wants to explain kind of what expressions are in memory care?
I will go. I'm going to jump right in because I love this word so much more than behaviors. I do not like the word behaviors. I love the term expressions. When I see a resident wandering or a resident doing something that maybe a family member or somebody with maybe a different outlook would consider a behavior, I always try to think of this is an expression that's linked to a need that's not being met. What can we do as the investigators, as the care partners, the memory care directors, the wellness team to figure out what that is? If they're wandering, why are they wandering? Are they wandering because they're hungry, they're lost, they're bored, they're looking for somebody or something? And this is where when we do tours and we're explaining our neighborhood and the concept, I talk a lot about the life stations, as these are great tools when people are expressive to get people to change. Maybe we're pivoting from one activity to the next and we're moving on, and we can use the life stations as a brief moment to interact and engage with something that doesn't have to be brought out from a cabinet or a closet, that is safe and failure-free for all of our residents to engage with. I'd love to change the mindset of care partners to thinking, okay, this resident is becoming expressive, not thinking, oh, they're behavioral, we need a PRN. No, it's an expression. What can we do to fix this?
I love that. Perfect explanation. Yeah, Kayla's clapping. I love it. So we still have two more key elements to get through. We're having so much fun. I love this. But I did want to switch gears a little bit to engagement assessments. And Kayla, I'm going to ask you to explain, because you've been kind of helping with both worlds. In the independent living, assisted living, we have social profiles, and then in memory care, we have engagement assessments. So can you briefly explain the two of them and how they're different?
Yes. So in the beginning of time, we just had social profiles for everyone. And then as we were trying to become more person-centered care and get to know more, specifically, we needed to drill down more on what the actual resident needed and who they were in their past, and because we can create a better experience for them if we feel like we truly know the resident. And I know I've been on talking about PATH before, but if we can move them in earlier in their dementia process, maybe even in assisted living, and then path them over to memory care, we get to know them earlier on in that process. And that's truly why, or the reason why we put together an engagement profile, because we're we have to know more. We have to know more about this person so that we can care for them better, because they may not be able to tell us that they love Diet Dr. Pepper with sugar-free vanilla added to it. But they might not be able to tell it, but if it was on their social profile, what a sweet surprise that we can give them. Oh my gosh, how did you know that I loved this? Or it could honestly be a way to redirect them from an expression that's coming up if we know more about them. And so that was really the engagement profile, just is far more in depth than the social profile. Like, I think printed off version of engagement profile is like, what is it, 8 pages, and like social profile is like 2. So it goes far more in depth, and we want to know the person more.
Yeah, and Bree, I know you have a great story to share. If you don't mind sharing about how you've used engagement profiles in the past.
I will. I do want to add on to what Kayla said, though. As good as they are for the family and the resident, they are so useful for the staff, because when you have somebody come into your community, like it's their home, we want to know them. We don't want to be like, oh, let's spend a week trying to figure out what they want or what they don't like. And so if we can get all that information up front, we give it to our staff. So when that resident walks into our community, we're like, hey, Mr. Bob, I hear you like the Yankees. So it's so helpful in forming those relationships from the get-go. But my story, and it's probably going to be my all-time favorite story in my whole entire career, is I was a care partner overnight. And so with working overnight, I didn't really know the baseline of all of our residents. And we had a resident that would come out, and she was talking, but not in a way that like I could understand or the other care partner could understand. We knew they were words, but they weren't English. And so somebody was like, I think she speaks another language. And I'm like, are you sure? Well, because we have the engagement profiles, we went and we pulled it, and we actually found out that she spoke Russian many years ago. And so with her dementia, she had actually reverted back to that. And so we were able to use Google Translate. Now, it wasn't a complete conversation or anything, but we could pick up words. And then, of course, we had to have fun. And then English to Russian, I'm not sure how much she understood, but had we not had that, we would have never been able to kind of connect with that resident at 2:00 in the morning. So that's going to be my all-time favorite engagement profile story.
I think that's the coolest thing, because it's like, yeah, that wasn't something currently going on in her life, or you would have known about it from her family probably, but having it on the profile made a huge difference. Very cool. Since we're getting close to time, I just want to get to the 5th pillar real quick. I would love to hear more stories. We'll have you guys back, don't worry. But the 5th pillar is about, or the 5th key element is about continued education. So I'm going to ask Quintin, can you explain what does that look like in our support for families? And then I'll have Neiko talk about the staff side. So Quintin, go ahead.
Yeah, for our families, not only is it such a unique and individualized experience based on their resident and what their journey looks like, but we do support groups. I host one in my community. I know there's also virtual support groups provided by Arrow. We have a podcast as well. There's lots of resources. A lot of my families have taken part in them, and they've been crucial and helpful for not only continuing their education, but connecting and building a sense of community around learning and experiencing what it is to have a loved one go through a memory loss journey. I've also held my support group here at the community, and it's cool to see people, because we post them on Facebook. There are events you can attend. It's cool to see people outside the community come and say, hey, I have my loved one in another local memory care. We don't have anything like this. This is so great for me to be able to connect with people and understand what's next.
I love that. And then on the staff side, Neiko, can you share what we do to make sure our staff are kind of always getting that education as well?
So for staff education, we are, we have the town hall meetings. And so we put information that's included in the town halls. So monthly they're learning there. We also do monthly block parties. So the block parties, that is specifically for our memory care staff, and we are educating them that way. And and for some, well, at least here in North Royalton, I also, that same information, I keep it on hand. So we have a binder that has, all of the information that they've gone over, and then some additional things that, may come up if there's a situation that's happened. We want to gather that information and put it into the in-service book. And that way, it's familiar. If you need to go back and reference that, it's available for you.
I love that. And the last thing I'm going to ask is just, if somebody listening to this wants to incorporate even just a piece of what we've talked about today into their memory care neighborhood, what would be your piece of advice for them? I want everyone to answer if you guys have a piece of advice.
I'm going to say don't stop trying. So if you hear something that maybe you want to implement and you go and you try it and it doesn't work right off, try it again. We have Quintin and Neiko, and they do things differently because they have to kind of make it for their community. So don't stop trying. Do it in a way that benefits your residents and your community is what I would say.
For me, I think when I was implementing different elements as a newer memory care director, previously I was always afraid of failure, but you cannot be afraid of failure. You have to understand that failure happens for you to learn how to implement these in a way that works successful for you as an individual and the residents you take care of in any neighborhood. So be ready for the failure, be excited for it, and be ready to see what you're going to have to change to make it successful.
So I definitely agree with the both of them. And I say, a lot of times you come in with, whether you come in with knowledge of or not, I will say, keep what you know, apply that, but be willing to learn, be willing to explore, be willing to, to take different avenues, because as we say, if you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia. Everybody's different. So you're going to have to take a different approach. You're going to learn some things. You're going to be able to apply some different things. So all in all, keep trying, stay at it, never give up, and be willing to learn always.
Yay. I love all those. I would just say start small, start with one thing. Don't try and just bite off the whole thing, because I feel like there's been so many times, and even still, it's just like, oh my gosh, we have so much to do. Okay, we'll only get to the end by starting one step at a time. So one step at a time for us.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for bringing the neighborhood to us today. I love chatting with you all. I think we did it. Next week, same place, same time, we're going to be talking about mid-year course correction. So please join us for that. But thank you all for your time, and we'll see you next week. Bye.